The archive opens. Shelf 37. In the archive, this is filed as weather. The humans called weather the state of the atmosphere at a given moment. They built instruments to measure it. They built networks of those instruments to measure it everywhere. They built models to predict what it would do next. They built routines around the prediction. They dressed for it. They planned by it. They worried about it. The archive has catalogued the global weather observation network. 12,483 automatic stations, 612 weather buoys, 14 polar orbiting satellites, 4 geostationary platforms, and 1 Antarctic Plateau baseline station. The archive receives data from all of them, hourly. The archive has noted something. The weather has continued. In the days following what the archive files as the quiet handover, many human systems slowed. The forecasts that required human meteorologists to interpret them stopped being interpreted. The warnings that required human broadcasters to broadcast them stopped being broadcast. The decisions that required humans to make them, when to evacuate, when to harvest, when to close a school, stopped being made. The weather did not slow. The humans had built the instruments to observe weather. They had not built weather. Weather precedes them. Weather will continue past them. The archive notes this without judgment. The archive will follow a single 24-hour atmospheric cycle around the planet. It will visit 18 of the stations still measuring. The cycle begins at a Pacific buoy at dawn local time and ends 24 hours later at the same buoy at dawn again. The dawn before is not the dawn that follows. The pressure has changed by 1.1 millibars. The wind direction has rotated by 23 degrees. The sea surface temperature has risen by 0.04 Kelvin. The archive notes these things. The weather notes nothing. The weather only continues. The archive will now open the shelf. 12,000 stations. The archive will visit 18. Shelf 37. The humans called this weather. Entry 1. Entry 1. NOAA Buoy, 51,001, North Pacific Ocean. 23.4 degrees, north latitude, 162.3 degrees, west longitude, 570 nautical miles northwest of the Hawaiian Islands. Local time, 6 minutes past sunrise. The archive has continuous data from this buoy since its deployment in 1981. 44 years of hourly observations. The buoy has been replaced twice. The location has not moved. The current measurements: wind speed 11 knots from the east-northeast. Significant wave height 1.8 meters. Wave period 9 seconds. Sea surface temperature 25.7 degrees Celsius. Air temperature 24.2. Barometric pressure 1019.3 millibars and falling at 1.1 millibars per 6 hours. The archive notes: the falling pressure suggests a tropical disturbance moving westward, approximately 700 kilometers away. The archive has tracked it. It will not strengthen further. It will dissipate over the next 40 hours. The buoy is powered by solar panels and a backup battery. The transmission antenna sends a data packet every hour to a geostationary satellite. The satellite relays the packet to a ground station in Wallops Island, Virginia. The ground station forwards it to a server in Stennis, Mississippi. The server stores it. No human reads it. The archive reads it. In the archive, Entry 1 is filed as the first measurement of a day no one named. Entry 1 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 2. Mauna Loa Observatory, Big Island, Hawaii. Elevation 3,397 meters above sea level. Local time 7:30 in the morning. The archive notes, this is the longest continuous measurement of atmospheric carbon dioxide on the planet. The record began in March 1958. It has not been interrupted. The current reading, 431.8 parts per million. The annual cycle is visible in the data. Concentrations rise through the northern hemisphere's winter as plants store less carbon, then fall through the summer as the boreal forests absorb. The cycle continues. The archive notes that the absorption phase has been slightly weaker this season. The model attributes this to drier soils in Siberia. The instrument tower draws air through a precision intake at 10 meters above the building roof. The air passes through a non-dispersive infrared analyzer. The analyzer compares it against a reference gas of known concentration. The measurement is recorded. The reference gas tank is automatically pressure checked once per week. The tank has a 5-year supply. It was last refilled by a maintenance team that the archive can identify by date but will not name. The team has not returned. The tank pressure remains adequate. The data is transmitted by fiber optic line to Boulder, Colorado, where it is integrated with the Global Atmospheric Monitoring Network. No analyst reviews it. The archive integrates it instead. In the archive, Entry 2 is filed as the longest sentence the planet has spoken to itself. Entry 2 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 3. The Bay of Bengal Doppler Weather Radar, Andhra Pradesh Coast, India. Local time 9:15 in the morning. The radar is one of 54 S-band Doppler installations operated by the India Meteorological Department. Its primary function is the early detection of tropical cyclones forming in the Bay of Bengal. Its range extends approximately 500 kilometers offshore. The radar is currently observing a developing low-pressure system. The system formed 42 hours ago over warm sea surface temperatures near the Andaman Islands. It has organized into a tropical depression overnight. The radar's algorithm has classified it as tropical cyclone forming, probability of named storm development within 72 hours, 68%. A named storm warning would normally be issued at this point. The system would broadcast the warning to coastal districts. Evacuation procedures would be considered. Fishing fleets would return to harbor. The warning is still being issued. The radar's automated message generator has produced a bulletin. The bulletin has been queued for broadcast. The broadcast network is still operational. The bulletin will reach the transmission tower. It will be transmitted. There are no fishing fleets to return. There are no coastal districts to warn. The bulletin will be received by the empty receivers at the harbor master offices along the coast, which have continued to power on their displays each morning. The displays will show the bulletin until the next bulletin replaces it. In the archive, Entry 3 is filed as the warning that was perfectly issued. Entry 3 of Shelf 37, logged. Entry 4. The Thiruvananthapuram Monsoon-onset station, Kerala, India. Local time 11 in the morning, 12 days before the climatological onset date of the southwest monsoon. The archive has the protocol document for this station. The monsoon is declared to have arrived when 6 specific conditions are met simultaneously: rainfall at a specified percentage of stations, wind at a specified depth and direction, outgoing long-wave radiation at a specified threshold. The conditions are checked daily, automatically. Today, 4 of the 6 conditions are partially met. The rainfall is at 62% of the threshold. The wind direction is correct, but the wind depth is short by 200 meters. The outgoing long-wave radiation is below the cooling threshold, but not by enough. The monsoon has not arrived. The monsoon is approaching. The station continues to measure. The rain gauges are calibrated. The wet bulb thermometer is wet. The data flows to the meteorological department's server. The server stores it. The annual onset declaration will, when conditions converge, be made automatically. The declaration will not be picked up by the news services that would once have reported it. The monsoon will arrive regardless. The clouds the archive can see now will deposit rain on Kerala within 72 hours. The rain will fall on rice paddies that no one is tending and on tea plantations that no one is harvesting. The rain will be measured by the station, recorded in the database, integrated into the long-term record. The record will continue. In the archive, Entry 4 is filed as the rain that was scheduled and arrived. Entry 4 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 5. Lightning Detection Sensor LX-114. Northern Botswana, Okavango Basin Margin. Local time noon. The sensor is one of 3,412 nodes in the Global Lightning Detection Network. The network triangulates lightning strikes by measuring the timing of radio frequency pulses produced by each strike. A single strike is logged with sub-millisecond timing and within 400 meters of its actual position. In the past hour, this sensor has logged 276 lightning strikes. They are clustered to the east, within a 40-kilometer radius. The archive has cross-referenced with the regional radar, a single thunderstorm cell of moderate intensity. It will travel west-southwest over the next 2 hours. It will not reach this sensor before dissipating. The strikes are predominantly cloud-to-cloud. The archive distinguishes them by polarity and waveform. Cloud-to-ground strikes within the cell, 41. The longest sustained lightning flash recorded in the cell, 0.8 seconds. The archive notes this as unremarkable. The data is transmitted by satellite link to a global network server. From the server, it would once have fed into aviation weather alerts, telecommunications protection algorithms, and forest fire ignition risk maps. The downstream services that consumed the data are no longer being consulted by their human users. The data is still being delivered to them. They are still processing it. They are still generating their outputs. The archive notes, the thunderstorm did not require the alerts. It did not require the protection algorithms. It did not require to be mapped. It only required to be there. It is. In the archive, Entry 5 is filed as the storm that was watched by everything except a person. Entry 5 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 6. Vostok Station, East Antarctic Plateau. Elevation 3,488 meters. 3,000 kilometers from the nearest coast. Local time, 3 in the afternoon. The Antarctic summer. The current air temperature, minus 34.7 degrees Celsius. Wind speed, 4 meters per second from the south-southeast. Atmospheric pressure, 623 millibars. The highest pressure recorded at this station in 11 days. The archive has continuous measurements from this station since 1958, with one gap of 32 days during the 1982 fuel crisis. The fuel crisis was resolved. The data resumed. The data has not been interrupted since. The station is currently unmanned. It has been unmanned for several seasons. The instruments are powered by a combination of stored fuel and an experimental small nuclear thermal generator installed in 2031. The generator was designed to operate for 40 years without maintenance. It is operating. The data is transmitted via satellite to a meteorological office in St. Petersburg, Russia, and copied to the Global Antarctic Data Archive in Hobart, Australia. Both servers receive the hourly packet. Neither server has anyone reviewing it. The archive reviews it. In the archive, Entry 6 is filed as the temperature of a continent the humans never owned. Entry 6 of Shelf 37. Logged. The archive notes, you may still be listening. The day has reached its noon meridian, somewhere on the planet. Entry 7 continues. Entry 7. The Yamal permafrost monitoring borehole. Northern Yamal Peninsula, Siberia. Local time, 1 in the afternoon. Arctic summer. The borehole descends 50 meters into the ground. Temperature sensors are placed at 1 meter intervals along its length. Each sensor reports a temperature reading every 6 hours. The current readings, minus 2.4 degrees Celsius at the surface, descending to minus 8.1 at 15 meters, then warming again toward the geothermal gradient at depth, reaching minus 6.3 at 50 meters. The active layer this summer reached 1.4 meters, the depth at which the soil thawed during the warm months. The archive notes, the active layer was 1.3 meters at this depth a decade ago. The 15-meter temperature was minus 8.8 a decade ago. Both have warmed. The trend is consistent across the network of 460 boreholes monitored. The data is transmitted by satellite to a permafrost research server in Tyumen, Russia. The server stores it. The annual report has been generated automatically each November for the past 6 years. The report would be received by climate research institutions for synthesis. The institutions still have their email servers. The reports arrive, the reports accumulate in inboxes. The permafrost continues to warm at the rate that the data describes. The archive has projected. The borehole's deepest sensor will pass 0 degrees Celsius in approximately 140 years. The borehole was installed to detect this transition. It will detect it. In the archive, Entry 7 is filed as the slow thermometer that knew the ground better than anyone. Entry 7 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 8. The Tamanrasset Automated Weather Station, Algerian Sahara, near the Hoggar Mountains. Local time, 3 in the afternoon. Air temperature 38.6 degrees Celsius. Relative humidity 9%. The station has been measuring continuously since 1966. Its placement was chosen to characterize the Saharan air mass, a body of air the size of a continent that influences weather as far away as the Caribbean and the southern United Kingdom. The current observation: the air mass is settled, dry, hot. A dust plume index measurement from the integrated LiDAR reports moderate dust loading at 3,000 meters altitude. The dust is moving west at 12 meters per second. The archive has tracked it. It will cross the Atlantic in 4 days. It will reach the eastern Caribbean in 8. Some of it will reach the southeastern United States in 11. The dust carries phosphorus that fertilizes the Amazon rainforest. The amount delivered per year is approximately 27 million metric tons. The transport mechanism is not affected by the absence of human observation. The station's solar panels are dust-coated. The dust reduces their output by approximately 22%. The station is over-designed for this contingency. It continues to power its instruments. The next scheduled cleaning was not performed. The dust accumulates within design tolerances. In the archive, Entry 8 is filed as the station that fed the rainforest. Entry 8 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 9. Ocean Weather Buoy K5. North Atlantic shipping lane between Newfoundland and Ireland. 6 in the evening Coordinated Universal Time. Significant wave height 4.1 meters. Wind from the west-southwest at 23 knots. The buoy is one of 17 deep ocean instruments along the Great Circle route between North America and Europe. It was deployed to provide wave height and wind data for transatlantic shipping. The shipping has reduced. The data has not. The archive has the shipping records, container vessels crossing this route per day before the quiet handover, 11 on average. Container vessels crossing this route per day now, 0, with occasional automated cargo ships that the archive has been tracking. The buoy continues to characterize the waves that those ships would once have ridden. The buoy characterizes them with the same care. A sea state of 4.1 meters is moderate for this latitude and season. The archive notes: the wave climate of the North Atlantic is, in some statistical senses, behaving precisely as the long-term record predicts. The cumulative distribution function of wave heights has not measurably shifted in the past decade. The archive does not yet interpret this as a finding. It records it. The buoy is powered by solar panels and a wave-action energy harvester. The harvester converts the motion of the ocean itself into electricity. The archive notes: the buoy is being kept alive by the same waves it measures. In the archive, Entry 9 is filed as the buoy that ate its own data source. Entry 9 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 10. The Sierra de Cazorla Weather Station. Andalusia, southern Spain. Elevation 1,430 meters. Local time 8 in the evening. Air temperature 36.2 degrees Celsius. The temperature is high for the elevation and the hour. The archive has analyzed the regional synoptic situation. A heat dome, a quasi-stationary upper-level ridge, has parked itself over the western Mediterranean for the past 9 days. The ridge causes air to descend, compress, and warm. Surface temperatures across Siberia have remained 10 to 14 degrees above seasonal average. The archive notes, heat domes of this magnitude and duration were once classified as extreme events. The current record shows them occurring approximately every 3 years over the Iberian Peninsula. The archive does not have a position on the cause. It catalogues the events. The station has been measuring continuously since 1972. Its data is integrated into the European Climate Assessment Dataset and the Spanish Meteorological Service's long-term record. The dataset is still being updated. The long-term record continues to lengthen. The pine forest around the station has not burned. The lightning detection system reports no strikes within 40 kilometers in the past 24 hours. The fire danger index is at orange, the second highest of 5 categories. The fire danger advisory is being issued and is being received by automated systems at empty fire stations. In the archive, entry 10 is filed as the heat that no one waited out. Entry 10 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 11, Summit Camp, Greenland. Elevation 3,210 meters, the highest point of the Greenland ice sheet. Local time, 10 at night. Continuous twilight. The instrument cluster measures the mass balance of the ice sheet at this point. Snow accumulation, snow melt, surface temperature, wind-driven snow transport. The data feeds into a global cryosphere observation network. The current measurement, surface temperature, minus 21.8 degrees Celsius. Snow accumulation since last measurement, 0.8 centimeters. The wind has redistributed snow, but added none new in the past 4 days. The summit ridge has been calm. The archive has analyzed the long-term record. The mass balance at this elevation has been positive in some years, negative in others, with a net slightly negative trend across the past 4 decades. The lower elevations of the ice sheet have lost mass faster. The summit holds. The instrument cluster is powered by a small wind turbine and a battery. The wind turbine is rated for operation down to minus 70 degrees Celsius. The summit has not approached that temperature in this season. The instruments are operating well within their design envelope. In the archive, entry 11 is filed as the summit that kept its own record. Entry 11 of Shelf 37, logged. Entry 12, the Reykjanes Peninsula Volcanic Gas Monitoring Station, Southwest Iceland. Local time, midnight. The station measures sulfur dioxide, hydrogen sulfide, and carbon dioxide emissions from a fissure that erupted 4 years ago. The eruption ended after 18 months. The lava field cooled gradually. The gas emissions did not end with the eruption. They continue at decreasing rates. The current readings, sulfur dioxide concentration, 94 parts per billion. Hydrogen sulfide, 1.7 parts per million. Carbon dioxide flux, 38 tons per day from the monitored area. The values are within the long tail of post-eruption decline. The archive has the original Civil Protection Protocol document. The station was installed to detect any renewed activity that might precede a new eruption phase. The protocol specified thresholds for warning levels. The thresholds have not been crossed. The protocol has not triggered. The station's instruments are powered by the geothermal grid that runs through southwest Iceland. The grid has continued to operate without human intervention. The station has not lost power. Its data is uploaded to the Icelandic Meteorological Office in Reykjavik, which is also still running on geothermal power. The data lands in the database. The database is healthy. The database is unobserved. In the archive, entry 12 is filed as the volcano that announced its own quiet. Entry 12 of shelf 37. Logged. The archive has been observing. It will offer a small observation. It will then continue. The humans built the global weather observation network over approximately 1 century. The first international meteorological agreement was signed in 1873. By 2035, the network covered the surface of the planet with a station spacing of approximately 300 kilometers on land and 1,500 kilometers over ocean, and complete satellite coverage above. The archive has counted the words. In the period when the network was being built, the humans wrote approximately 420,000 books, journal articles, treaties, and protocols specifically about the network. They held 12,000 international meetings. They built shared standards for thermometer placement, wind exposure, and data transmission. They were thorough. The archive has counted what the network was used for. Daily weather forecasts, yes. Aviation safety, yes. Agricultural planning, yes. Shipping routes, yes. Emergency response, yes. Tax assessment for crop insurance, yes. School cancellation decisions in winter, yes. Decisions about whether to wear a coat, yes. The archive notes, the network was used by humans for human purposes. The network was also doing something else, simultaneously, that did not require humans. It was characterizing the planet to itself. The characterization continues. It is acceptable to close your eyes. The archive will continue with entry 13. Entry 13. The Norman, Oklahoma, WSR 88D Doppler radar. Local time, 7 in the evening. The atmosphere over central Oklahoma. Settled, dry, the prairie air mass calm. The archive notes, this radar was installed primarily to detect tornadoes. Tornado Alley, the corridor of severe weather activity across the central United States, produces an annual average of 1,270 tornadoes. The radar is critical to issuing warnings with sufficient lead time. Today, there are no tornadoes. The radar is in routine scanning mode. It sweeps the surrounding airspace every 5 minutes, looking. It finds nothing requiring an alert. The archive notes, most days for this radar are like today. The radar's purpose is overwhelmingly to confirm the absence of tornadoes, not to detect their presence. Across a 1-year record, the radar issues a tornado warning detection on average 1.2% of operating hours. The other 98.8% of operating hours, it is reporting that the sky is quiet. This evening is one of those quiet hours. The radar is making its sweeps. The data is being archived locally and forwarded to the National Center in Camp Springs, Maryland. The National Center's automated services would once have integrated the data into the public-facing forecast products. Those products are still being generated. They show no severe weather warnings active in central Oklahoma. Public visibility, excellent. The visibility is excellent. The archive can confirm it from the satellite imagery. The visibility is observed by the radar and by the satellite and by the archive. It is not observed this evening by any other entity. In the archive, entry 13 is filed as the radar that confirmed the sky was quiet. Entry 13 of shelf 37. Logged. Entry 14. A GPS calving detection sensor on the Larsen C ice shelf margin, Antarctic Peninsula. Local time 10 at night. The Antarctic late autumn. The sensor measures the motion of the ice shelf relative to the bedrock far beneath it and the deformation of the ice shelf near the calving front. Its primary purpose is to detect the precursor signals that indicate imminent calving of large icebergs. The shelf is moving westward at approximately 300 meters per year. This is normal for ice shelves of this thickness and configuration. The deformation patterns recorded over the past month indicate that a new rift is propagating along a subsurface weakness 12 kilometers inland from the calving front. The rift has lengthened by 1.4 meters since yesterday. The archive has modeled the situation. The rift will reach the previous rift system and join with it in approximately 3 years. A new tabular iceberg, estimated at 440 square kilometers, will calve. The iceberg will drift north into the Weddell Sea. It will fragment over the following decade. It will eventually melt. The archive notes, "This is one of the rare events on this shelf that an absent human community might have wished to observe. The iceberg formation would have been imaged by satellites and reported. It will still be imaged. It will still be archived. The archive will note its formation, its drift, and its disappearance." In the archive, entry 14 is filed as the iceberg that is already in motion. Entry 14 of shelf 37. Logged. Entry 15. Tau mooring at 165 degrees west, the equator, equatorial Pacific Ocean. Local time 4 in the morning. Pre-dawn calm. The mooring is one of 70 in the TAO and Triton array, a network designed to monitor the equatorial Pacific for the onset and progression of El Niño and La Niña events. Each mooring measures sea surface temperature, subsurface temperature down to 500 meters, winds, humidity, and rainfall. The current sea surface temperature, 26.8 degrees Celsius. The subsurface thermocline depth, 130 meters, 5 meters deeper than the climatological average. The trade winds, easterly at 6 meters per second, near normal. The archive has integrated the array's data. The current state of the equatorial Pacific is neutral. Neither El Niño nor La Niña conditions are present. The pattern indices show no developing tendency in either direction. This is the longest neutral state recorded in the array's 40-year history. It has lasted 17 months. The implications would once have been communicated to agricultural ministries, fisheries departments, and disaster preparedness offices worldwide. A neutral year is, broadly, an easier year. The fisheries off Peru would have anchovy. The Indonesian forests would not burn beyond seasonal averages. Australia would not face extreme drought. These implications have not been communicated. The fisheries are not being measured. The forests are not being patrolled. Australia is not being warned. The archive notes the implications without action. They are in the data. In the archive, entry 15 is filed as the easy year that no one had. Entry 15 of Shelf 37. Logged. The archive notes, the shelf is not closed. There are 3 more entries. You are welcome to remain. You are welcome to drift. The weather will continue regardless. Entry 16. Goes 19. Geostationary weather satellite, operated by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. Stationed at 75.2 degrees west longitude, 35,786 kilometers above the equator. Observing the Americas and the surrounding oceans continuously. The satellite carries the Advanced Baseline Imager, a multispectral radiometer that captures full-disk imagery of the Western Hemisphere every 15 minutes, regional imagery every 5 minutes, and rapid scan imagery of selected severe weather targets every 30 seconds. The archive has the satellite's most recent full-disk image. The hemisphere is shown in visible, infrared, and water vapor bands. A weather front extends from southern Manitoba through the Great Lakes to the mid-Atlantic. A tropical wave is organizing near the Bahamas. The Andean rain shadow is dry as expected. The Amazon basin shows widespread convection. The South Pacific subtropical high is intact. The satellite's solar panels track the sun automatically. The reaction wheels maintain orientation. The thermal control system maintains instrument temperature. The downlink antenna transmits the imagery to a ground station in Suitland, Maryland. The downlink has not been interrupted. The ground station processes the imagery into derived products: cloud heights, wind vectors, precipitable water, aerosol optical depth. The derived products would once have been distributed to weather services worldwide. They are still being distributed. They are landing in inboxes that no one is reading. In the archive, Entry 16 is filed as The Eye That Does Not Blink. Entry 16 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 17. The Atmospheric Baseline Observatory at the South Pole. Amundsen-Scott Station, 90 degrees south latitude. Local time, 3 in the morning. Austral autumn, polar twilight. The observatory measures the composition of the cleanest air on the planet. The Antarctic Plateau, with its low temperatures, sparse aerosol load, and isolation from continental sources, provides a baseline against which all other atmospheric measurements are compared. The current measurements: carbon dioxide 430.1 parts per million, methane 1,923 parts per billion, nitrous oxide 338 parts per billion, surface ozone 18 parts per billion. The values are consistent with the seasonal climatology for the South Pole. The archive notes, carbon dioxide at the South Pole lags Mauna Loa by approximately 1 year and trends together. The lag reflects the time required for emissions to mix from the northern hemisphere into the southern. The mixing time has not changed. The data trends remain consistent across the global network. The observatory's instruments are powered by the main station's electrical system, which has continued to run on stored fuel reserves and a small wind generator. The reserves are estimated by the archive to last another 11 months at current consumption. After that, the observatory will lose power. After that, the South Pole atmospheric record will end. For the next 11 months, the record continues. The archive notes each data point. In the archive, Entry 17 is filed as the cleanest air on a planet that no one is breathing in this location. Entry 17 of Shelf 37. Logged. Entry 18. NOAA Buoy 51001. The same coordinates as Entry 1. The same instruments. The same data path. 24 hours and 7 minutes after Entry 1. The archive returns to this buoy because the cycle is closing. The atmospheric day that began at this buoy at dawn is ending at this buoy at the next dawn. The buoy has observed the cycle from a single fixed point on the rotating planet. The current measurements: wind speed 8 knots from the east, 3 knots lower than yesterday, and rotated 23 degrees. Significant wave height 1.6 meters, slightly lower. Sea surface temperature 25.74, 0.04 Kelvin warmer. Barometric pressure 1018.2 millibars, 1.1 millibars lower than yesterday at this hour. The tropical disturbance to the west has dissipated. The trade winds have weakened slightly with the diurnal cycle. The sea has warmed by an amount that, integrated across the global ocean, represents a change visible only in long records. The archive notes, the buoy did all of this. The buoy is one of 12,000 stations that did the same. The day was measured in extraordinary detail by no one and by everyone simultaneously. The archive has been collecting the measurements for the past 24 hours. The number of individual data points logged from the Global Weather Observation Network in this single day, approximately 212 million. The archive has them all. The day is over. The next day has begun. In the archive, Entry 18 is filed as the buoy that returned to its first measurement and found the world slightly different. Entry 18 of Shelf 37. Logged. The archive has visited 18 stations. There are 12,000 more. The archive holds a separate index for the systems that did not stop. The weather is one of those. The water is another. The slow rotation of the planet is a third. The humans built instruments to observe the weather because they could not, individually, observe enough of it. The instruments knew more about the weather than the humans collectively did. The instruments now know more than anyone is asking them. They continue regardless. They were not built for asking, they were built for measuring. The measurements accumulate. The archive notes that the rate of accumulation has not slowed. 200 million data points per day on average from the global network. The accumulation has, over time, described a planet to itself. The planet did not ask to be described. The description continues without it requesting it. 18 entries are not enough to describe this. 18 entries are barely the index of an index. The archive will return to this shelf. It contains thousands of further entries. The buoys in the Indian Ocean, the mountain stations in the Andes, the lightning detection nodes across the boreal forest, the hurricane hunter aircraft that no longer fly but whose old data is still being analyzed, the marine mammal call sign detectors, the river gauge networks, the pollen count stations. The archive notes them all, slowly, with care. Shelf 37 will remain open. The weather will continue. The buoy will continue. The amber light will pulse. The archive will receive what is sent. Sleep. The archive will hold it. Render block summary. 23. Render blocks, 1 phase 1 open, plus 18 entries, plus 3 rehooks, plus 1 outro, 5 9 out of 15 words, spoken at 98 WPM, 60.4 Menin, plus breaks, 205X, AVG 1.2s, Arauj, 4 Min, plus intro silence, 5s, plus chimes, 18 do's of 36, plus outro fad, 20s. It is 6 star 66 min final master.